Today we'll do it a little differently because we have RiverGreen and Promenade Peak. So we will choose between the two, okay, for both of us. We haven't discussed about this. Okay, which project will you consider? Okay, so without much further ado, let's try this. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the JNA Investments team. And today we have another new launch review.
And this is not just one, but two, RiverGreen and Promenade Peak. We're going to have a showdown to see which of this development is a better buy in the market today, and also do a floor plan comparison. And most importantly, we have the latest prices that came out. So from there, we have a proper analysis to see which is a better buy.
Yeah, so I think after the government actually announced the 4-year SSD, market was a little bit uncertain for maybe for some buyers. And then you had Linden Woods that sold out almost like a 90+% again. And now developers are all chonging to kind of release at the same time. So you actually have quite a few developments coming up in the River Valley area as well as Canberra residents also coming up.
One of the developers out of these two actually did launch a price quite attractively to draw the buyers into this development. And in fact, we're going to look in it today to see which is the better buy.
So if you're actually in the market with all these upcoming launches and you're considering one of them, you're not sure which one you should go for based on your portfolio, you can always scan a QR code over here and we can do a review for you.
Also, with 3,000 units come out in River Valley area, people may worry, is there an oversupply? And with that, we actually done a demand versus supply analysis for this region. So like find out more, do click on the QR code, and we have done a more detailed analysis between RiverGreen and Promenade Peak within this research itself. Okay, so without much further ado, let's jump to this two projects. So before we start, let's thank all our clients who support us. Currently, we have garnered over 184 good reviews, 5-star, and it's something that we are very thankful for.
And finally, our YouTube has hit 70K.
Yes, thank you for supporting our channel. And more than happy to develop to you through our investment analysis. And also, we currently serve more than 700 investment clients with a return of 19.56% per annum after netting our costs. And this is something we continue to want to champion to create more value through real estate investment consultation.
Yep, so let's dive right into the two developments. But besides these two, there are also quite a few plots around here. So we'll go through one by one in the River Valley area.
Yes.
In total, there are actually 6, out of which 5 has already been bidded, and then there is one that is still available for application. So the one that we'll look at will be RiverGreen, you can see on the top, which is 524 units, and Promenade Peak, which is the one at the bottom. So an interesting fact is, even though all these plots are pretty close to each other, they're on different districts, or rather even different regions. Some of them are in District 9, which is your CCR region, and some of them will be in District 3, your RCR region. So you got to be very careful with, if you're buying into a particular region, or if you want to buy in a particular region, then you have to make sure that, you look at the plots carefully.
Yeah, so if you notice over here, in RiverGreen, it actually considers District 9, called CCR, divided by Wing Thai, while Promenade Peak actually considers District 3, RCR, by All Green. Yeah, so it's actually separated by the Singapore River itself. So one on the north is actually District 9, the one below is District 3. But to be very
The question is, does it matter?
Does it matter? It's not a very big thing because it's still in River Valley area. People look at region rather than just by district number.
But of course, if everything else is the same, pricing is the same and layout is the same, then of course go for the better or the CCR region one. I remember there was once where one of our team was selling HDB, and then they were asking, say, how come across that road the prices there are a little bit different? Then they realized, it's a different party that's ruling that. Correct. So sometimes things like that do matter a little bit, but I think ultimately it still boils back down to, okay, what is your entry price and whether your space is effective in your layout or not.
Yes. And also, one thing to take note is Robertson Opus, in fact, one of the 99-year plot, the only 99-year plot in this area, is having their balloting this weekend. So this is something, 3,400 per square feet on average. This is something we'll expect to see in this area itself.
So also, besides RiverGreen, we have the next parcel B, which is River Valley Green by Guoco Land. So this one, we don't know what the name is yet. And of course, Zion Grand, which is next to Promenade Peak. The last plot near Great World MRT will be Parcel C, River Valley Green, and this one is actually now up for application, so there, it hasn't been bidded yet.
Yes. All right, so with this, just take note, as I mentioned by Grace just now, Zion land plot actually falls in between the CCR and RCR
Just look at the river.
Yeah, there's a river.
Anything below the river will be RCR. Anything on top of the river
is CCR. So D9 and D3. All right.
So now we'll look at the prices between OCR, RCR as well as CCR, which is something that a lot of people are talking about in today's market, that the prices for CCR is so close to the RCR. Is it then an opportunity to enter into CCR? So I think what we did was we went and traced back the prices in 2015. What was the gap back then and what's the price gap right now? You'll see in 2015, if let's say you were to compare OCR versus CCR, it'd be about 1,001 versus 2,001. So in terms of per square feet gap, it's about 1,000 per square feet.
Yes.
If you talk about today's pricing between OCR as well as CCR, is about 2002 versus 2009. So the gap then closed up from about 1,000 to about 700.
Yes. And in terms of percentage gap, you can see back then it's almost close to 100% or 90% at least in terms of percentage gap. But right now, with the 700 per square feet, it's only about 30% gap. So it's indeed narrowing in terms of both percentage in terms of the per square feet. And also look at RCR, okay, in 2015, 1495, 1005 versus 2109, 600 per square feet. Today, this gap had narrowed to close to less than 220 per square feet. And this itself is also a narrowing percentage gap from close to 40+% now to less than, I see close to 10%. Yeah, so it's a very interesting phenomenon right now in today's market.
Yeah, so I think besides per square feet, we also wanted to look at the quantum. So also what we did was we took the average 3 beta quantum and OCR, RCR, and CCR back in 2015 versus 2025 today. You realize 2015, OCR was about 1.1, RCR was about 1.6, and CCR was about 3.2. This meant that, the CCR 3 beta on average, quantum-wise, was about 3 times more than OCR. If you look in today's market, today OCR is about 2.3 to 2.4 compared to CCR average should be about 4.3. So instead of 3 times, which would have been about 6+ million, it's now on 2 times only.
Yes, and there's a quantum range with 2 million difference. Today it's also 2 million, but I would say in terms of the percentage difference, it's actually quite huge. And this narrowing gap in mind, let's jump into the 2 projects we are looking at today. Okay, first up, we have RiverGreen. Okay, so it's by Wing Thai. It's like a 9,000 square meter decent land plot with 5 to 4 units, considered a big development. Expected TOP is June 2030, but likelihood will be end of 2029 for actual TOP date. Okay, it's only 1 block with 36-story high.
Yeah. So this will be directly linked to Great Wall MRT. So if someone's looking for connectivity, I think there is nothing to complain about in terms of connectivity here, because opposite you it's Great Wall City, and then you are linked directly to Great Wall MRT, and then there's like Zion Food Centre. So we'll talk a little bit more about amenities later also.
And one thing to note is this land plot is a little longish. Okay, in fact, I just came from the show flat just a moment ago, and I found out what they did is quite interesting. They actually done a full-fledged facility at the elongated land plot. Okay, and only did 1 block at the end, okay, with a high story. And it's something that they did quite functional, where they have almost a panoramic view. Okay, well, one that's facing towards the north side, north view, is towards Rivershire, Ionian City. Okay, and you look at the side, okay, you actually have a clear view between level 15 and level 17. You will see the Marina Basin's view, okay, which is Joanne Park, okay, towards the Joanne Park area. And the south view, you'll see all the way to Singapore River, okay, towards Trillium. You see an unblocked view. And last one is the west view, you see faces to Great Wall City. You'll be seeing in between 2 different blocks, which I say is something that's quite strategic. They plan it such that you don't have any block view.
Yeah, so I think for this development, the way it's being located, you do have units that is directly facing the west sun. Looking at previous developments, developers try their best to avoid that because it's a bit harder to offload in the resale market. So if you are looking for a unit, this is something that you may have to take note also.
Yes. All right. And also, previously, they did mention only got 380 units to use for this land plot. But right now, they actually managed to get 5 to 4 units. So why they managed to get this, okay, instead of just 380, is because back then, they actually divided the central zone area there by 100 square meter. Okay, but right now, right, they allow this net internal area to be at least 70 square meter. So the maximum amount of unit they can actually increases quite a significant amount. Okay, so last time, for example, if you were to just take the number of units, total GFA divided by 85 square meter, which is minimum average size, the number of units will be 380. But right now, when one have a lower denominator of 70 square meter on average size, naturally you can build more.
Yep. So the next thing to look at is the unit mix. You realize that most of the unit types are towards the 2 betas.
Yes.
So they are close to almost, I would say, 50% for the 2 betas as well as the 2+ study. And then the rest they divided among the 1 beta, 3 betas, as well as the 4 betas.
Right. Okay. So in terms of as a block, it's actually located all the way to one side, okay, and in fact next to the tennis court, nearest to the station, which I think they did quite strategically.
They are quite impressive that they actually managed to fit like a tennis court plus like a pool in such a, I wouldn't say the most conventional or squarish layout.
Yes, and because of that, they really did get this land plot at a more, I would say, discounted rate, and they factored that into the sale price. We'll see later on. And that's our tender price. Only 2 actually tendered for this particular land plot.
And not too bad in the prices that they actually bid for this land for Wing Thai.
Yeah, well, 4.29% higher, so they barely won it, which is good. Okay, not overbidded. One good thing to think note about this potential why they didn't bid for this plot is also besides it being elongated, it was launched during a time when area harmonization first came out. So it was a very new concept. Developers were like thinking, should I really risk buying this kind of new land plot? So before more land plots came out, there was something that developers were a little apprehensive. That's why they only have 2, and that's why they got this at a decent rate. Okay, as compared to most other developer bidder later on. Okay. And also, like all developments nowadays, now there's always a condition attached to it. They had to build a public park.
So it's not the first time. I think the last time was EOK and Upper House. They also asked Upper House developer to actually build a park. So these are some of the things that developers have to do extra now just to be able to get the land.
Yes. All right. And they got this land bit pretty decent. 2258 per square feet. Honestly, it's quite
CCR next to MRT.
Yeah, this is the break-even price. Impressive.
Yeah.
This is almost somehow close to Toa Payoh prices or some of the OCR price, in fact. So the break-even you got, if you really get, is about 2416 per square feet. If they launch about 10 to 15% or even 20%, 2728, that will be really a very impressive price to get because the break-even margin is pretty low and they have the advantage to do that, in this land plot.
Okay, so the next one we look at is Promenade Peak. What's the project information? On the site area, pretty similar, about 9,200 square meters.
Yes.
It's a 99-year-old development, 596 units. Expected TOP will be slightly later, February 2031. So it's also going to be one block and it's going to be very, very tall.
Yeah, 63 stories.
The short form name for Promenade Peak is PP63 because it's 63 stories.
Yes.
And it's going to be by All Green.
Yeah, last time All Green actually had a development was really the Bukit Timah collection. They have a long time since they actually entered the market, so I think this time they really have confidence that this can move.
Yeah.
All right. And next, let's take a look at the unit mix. You can see almost 60% are the 2-bedders and 1-bedders. Okay, and while the remaining 40% are the 3-bedrooms. So later you can compare the layout to layout comparison. You can see Promenade Peak by itself, they are actually going for a slightly bigger bedroom type, a different, I would say, kind of layout as compared to that of the RiverGreen. Okay, and because the land size is a little more regular shape, I would say, not longish, that's why they can really do more regular kind of site map. It's quite typical. You have a pool, you have a main block in the center, and they are going for 63 story.
But they couldn't fit in a tennis court, so they made do with a pickleball court.
Yes, a smaller court. Okay, which is now the in trend right now, a pickleball court. Yeah. And those are a bit similar to that of River Green. They actually got 2 bidders and they bid about 10.49% higher than the second bidder. Quite typical of All Green. All Green, they tend to bid the land slightly higher and then they are confident to sell higher. So that's how it has been, and that's what happened in Bukit Timah collection back then.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, so in terms of break-even, their break-even was about 2229. With actual break-even of harmonization in about 2,385.
Yes.
10% profit margin is about 26, which is their starting price, thereabout. And then 15% is about 27 plus, and 20% is going to be about close to 2,008 plus.
Yes. Okay, one more thing to take note is between the proximity MRT station. RiverGreen is actually right next to Great Wall. It's literally 2 minutes, walk to Great Wall. Promenade Peak by itself to Great Wall is about 8 to 9 minutes, walk. But if you walk towards Havelock, it's about 5 minutes.
And for those of you guys who have kids that goes to primary school, you're going to be happy to know that both of them are walkable to River Valley Primary School, with RiverGreen being 2 minutes. That's fully sheltered, and for Promenade Peak will be slightly longer, about 13 minutes.
Yeah, so it's also 1 km. So that's one of the good things to highlight for these two developments.
Yeah. Okay, in terms of site plan differences, like what Chris mentioned, Promenade Peak is a little bit more regular. Both have their facilities. Promenade Peak is going to get more pools, I would say. The difference would likely be the tennis court versus the pickleball court.
Yes, and most importantly, let's take a look at the prices. The price came out just yesterday and 3 days ago, so we can have an apple comparison. So RiverGreen by itself, quite shocking. Price of 2-bedder starting from 1.5, 2-bed premium 1.7, 3-bed 2.25 is almost an OCR or RCR kind of price. 4-bedroom was quite shocking, 2.8. It's really, I believe it's potentially it could be starting from, that's why the next jump could be quite high.
Yes.
But with that, even at 3 million, I would say it's even close to a RCR price.
And you know that both of them are playing very different kind of launch, because you will see that for Promenade Peak, their focus is on the per square feet that's being launched. CCR next to MRT at 2006 plus. But you realize that for RiverGreen, they're really playing on a quantum play.
Yes, correct.
3-bedder at 2.25, and they didn't write the size and they didn't write the per square feet. It's really just using quantum to attract people in.
Yes, and when you look back at Promenade Peak, the quantum-wise, you can see comparatively, the 2-bedder 1.8, I would say about similar. And then I would say 3-bedder 2.7, it's quite typical of CCR nowadays. And then the 4-bedroom, they're looking at a bigger size 4-bedroom, which is 1,400 square feet, about 4.4. Okay, as compared to RiverGreen, they're actually playing a very I would say interesting play of quantum, where 4-bedroom is 2.8. So there's something that when the market can accept that, we will cover that later on.
Yes. Okay. So let's look at the floor plan comparison between both developments. We'll go through the 1-bed, 1-bath first. RiverGreen is at about 420 square feet. Starting from is about 1.2 million. So you'll see that their per square feet is about 2,857. So for Promenade Peak, you'll realize that the sizes are slightly bigger at 527 square feet, because for this one, they actually have a small little study at the top. Starting is about 1.4, so 2,006 plus per square feet, and average quantum should be about 1.5 plus, 2,800 plus per square feet. So you'll see for one, your per square feet is lower, but for the other one, the quantum is lower. I think moving forward, I feel like people will be a bit more sensitive to quantum as compared to per square feet.
Yes.
And they'll likely just go and look at the unit to see what's the effective space. So if you're comparing the layout-wise, you'll see that kitchen for RiverGreen, usually it's an open concept. Here, they managed to kind of enclose it at the side, whereas for Promenade Peak, it'll be more of like a walk-in.
Yes. Okay, and compared to 2-bedder, it's more interesting. RiverGreen actually managed to have a 2-bed 1-bath over here. Okay, dumbbell layout, very efficient. Even the bedrooms are actually pretty big, actually bigger than Urbal Hill.
Yep.
9 square meter and 10 square meter. Usually it's about 8 and about 9 for a 2-bedder. And so enclosed kitchen, very well done. Okay, 1.5 million starting from, I'll say up to about 1.7. Okay, and for Promenade Peak, they don't have a 2-bed 1-bath, so the 1+ study is what you have seen just now.
So if you look at quantum, if let's say, you are able to get a lower floor over here at like 1.5 for a 2-bed versus like, let's say a higher floor at Promenade Peak for a 1.5, then this two may potentially be your competitors.
Yes.
When you want to exit in the future. So you think to say, okay, with similar quantum, which one will be easier to exit? Is it a 2-bedder or is it a 1-bedder?
Yeah, in fact, some of the prices say it's like 1.5, maybe 1.6. It's almost equivalent to some of the OCR prices that came out recently, like Alta projects, or in fact, RCR prices, okay, which is very interesting. And next, we have the 2-bed 2-bath, okay, 603 square feet. They also managed to squeeze a dumbbell layout with enclosed kitchen, very well planned out, about 1.7, starting from here about 1.8, 1.9. As compared to that of Promenade Peak, is a conventional layout. Okay, open concept kitchen, 6.5 and also 1.8 to 1.9. So in this case, they're actually apple-to-apple comparative. Okay. Next up is a 2+ study. So in this case, for RiverGreen, enclosed kitchen, okay, similar. The only difference is the addition study over here. Average, I would say about 2.1. That's our estimated prices. Okay, meanwhile, Promenade Peak is similar. They will go up to about 2.1, 2.3 million starting from. Okay, but one thing to note is the layout is not dumbbell. It's actually more conventional, but pretty elongated. Okay, and the study is really just a small corner at a corridor. So I really call it a study.
Yep. Okay, so the next one I look at is the 3-bedder. So for 3-bedder RiverGreen, you'll see I think they did a pretty good job fitting everything into a 786 square feet. Yes, it's post area harmonization, but even with that, I think the last time we saw this was Lentor Mansion. Yeah, they did it like a if I didn't remember wrongly, all the rooms at Lentor Mansion could fit in a queen size bed because they did a dumbbell for their 3-bedder.
Yes.
Because here it's a traditional layout, so one of the rooms will be slightly tighter, but you'll see the master bedroom, master bathroom, common bathroom, and your kitchen all actually have windows for 786 square feet.
Yes,
and even a home shelter at the bottom.
Correct. That's something amazing. They can squeeze in that. Okay, and one thing, if the rooms are too small, bedroom 3, they can remove the cabinet and then make it like a bigger space, like a study.
So looking at Promenade Peak, 3-bed 2-bath, on first glance, you'll think that this is a 4-bedder because you'll see 4 squares on one end. But if you were to go in, it's just a more unconventional layout where they kind of fit the kitchen over here. And that's also why you get this very, very long walkway. I thought 1033, you would have a little bit more space. But honestly speaking, if you were to look at the bedroom sizes for the common rooms, as well as master bedroom, yes, they're slightly bigger, but I wouldn't say there's too much difference just because a lot of the space actually just goes to like the long corridor already. And for here, you won't get any windows inside your common bathroom as well as your master bathroom. Prices for 1033 is going to start about 2.7 plus. So per square feet is about 2,007. Average should be about 3 million, which brings it to about 3,000 per square feet.
Okay, the only difference I say between these two layouts is the bedroom 3. One of them is definitely slightly bigger. So to have an apple comparative, we did actually draw out the other layout, okay, which for RiverGreen, which in this case 872 square feet.
Yep.
So 872 square feet, I would say is more apple comparative because the bedrooms are huge, 8 square meter to 9 square meter, can fit a queen size bed. Master bedroom is 12 square meter, 2 bathroom. Okay, and at the same time, there's a storage room in the living area with an enclosed kitchen with 6 square meter. Okay, and compared to 1076 square feet or 1033, I would say 2.7, 3.2. You can see layout is pretty similar, just that for my preference at RiverGreen, there's actually something that is more efficient layout as compared to that of a Promenade Peak. Okay, and the 1076 square feet, the difference is on the kitchen, actually, instead of being at the corridor area, it's actually added right beside the living room.
Yep.
Okay, with a longer balcony space.
So Promenade Peak also has another layout for 3-bedder, which then comes with a private lift, and that's why the starting per square feet will be much higher at 3,001, meaning the average will hit up to about 3,003 to 3,004. So for quantum-wise, it's going to be starting about 3.6 million. Average will be about 3.9 million. So for RiverGreen, there's one more layout that's 883, but honestly, for that layout versus 872, they're almost exactly identical. The only difference will be the front part where the corridor comes in. Average, let's say about 3,002 per square feet, you're looking at a quantum of about 2.8 million. So to compare with something with a private lift, your neighbor at Promenade Peak would be paying close to maybe about almost $1 million more.
Yeah, I believe this is catered to a different crowd. They
very,
realize that
very different crowd,
One private live, large living room. It's very different people are buying into the 872 square feet. So
Yes.
Promenade Peak did play in a more interesting way. They decided to cater different crowds so that they don't have apple-to-apple competitive product.
Yeah. The last time in similar areas, you saw very different layouts. It was also in Lentor area, where the same developer, they didn't want to build competing products. So like Lentor Modern, their 4 betas was super huge.
Yes, yeah, very huge.
I think the quantum wise was about 3.1, even up to 3.3 million.
Yes.
And then you had Lentor Central, where their 4 betas were very compact, or even Hillock Green, there was a very compact 4 beta, where the quantum was maybe about 2.4, 2.5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that creates a different target group that they're exiting.
Yes.
But again, always for us, we always like to buy cheap, buy safe. At least the exit strategy is clearer.
Yeah.
Last one, let's take a look at a 4-bedroom. This is very interesting because RiverGreen managed to squeeze a 980 square feet for a 4-bedroom.
Yep.
The last time I saw something very similar is this place called Sims Urban Oasis, where they squeezed a 4-bedroom 1033 with a very efficient layout type, which still sold out well and make money. So the key thing over here is, where it is 90 square feet, the starting price is only at 2.8. Okay, quite crazy, up to 3, which is almost like some cases RCR price.
Or even OCR
price. Or some RCR 3-beta premium price are hitting this.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can look, they actually did a very interesting layout. Enclosed kitchen, storeroom. Okay, I just went to show flat. The living room can sit at 4-seater. Okay, and the only difference is one of the bedroom, bedroom 4 in this case is actually 7 square meters, so it's slightly smaller. Yeah, and they do have the option to opt in to remove the wardrobe, so you have a bigger space for yourself.
Yep.
Okay. On the hand, Promenade Peak itself, once again, came to the different target group, they decided to let's play the big quantum kind of game. Typical layout, 4.4 million, starting from 1421 square feet, very huge 4 beta. So they are really targeting a crowd that wants a probably big unit and something new. Okay, so that's something very interesting.
So last time we'll look at the 5 beta. For RiverGreen, there isn't any 5 beta. So if someone wants to get a 5 beta, they can only consider Promenade Peak. Layout wise, it's 1,884 square feet. Usually people that buy at this quantum is really that, they just love the area and they really want to stay there.
Yes.
Starting from is about 6.2 million, 3,300 per square feet, going up to 3,006 on average, it will bring the quantum up to be about 6.8 million.
So next, let's take a look at the resale around the area to see whether the pricing, the launch in RiverGreen and Promenade Peak will be able to supported by this resale. So in this area, there's 4, I would say, newer projects that came out or TOP recently. Martin Modern is the older out of the 4. Okay, TOP in 2021, about close to 4 years ago. Then we have Riviera, okay, which is 2022. And the recent one that we were using a lot comparative with this project is called Well Hill Residences, 2025. And along with Avenir, which is freehold, big floor plate, we'll see later on the comparative. Okay, in terms of PSF, you can see the highest in this area is Avenir, which already hit about 3.5 per square feet, understandable, with freehold in this area. There's not many in this area in the first place. Followed by that, you have your Riviera and Well Hill at 2.9, okay, and Martimore about 2.7 per square feet. So with this in mind, when it comes to RiverGreen and Promenade Peak, when they launch starting from a 2.8 per square feet to about 3,000 per square feet, take note, those are after area harmonization, which means there is the aircon latch not included within this area. So you add an aircon latch and net off, likelihood per square feet will closer about 2.6 plus or 2.8 per square feet. And this is something that I would say is actually launching closer to resale prices.
Yes, so this is from a per square feet perspective. Now let's look at the quantum. What is the total price of these units that are selling at the resale? So we look at the 2 beta, 3 beta, and 4 beta. Firstly, we look at the 2 beta, Martin Modern, 764 square feet. Level 8 is the last transactor was about 1.98 million per square feet, is about 2,591, so close to about 2,006.
Yes.
And then you have Riviera 818 square feet, level 12 2.33 million, so about 2,800 per square feet. Avenir 807 square feet, higher floor, close to almost 2.9 million per square feet, hit up to 3,600 square feet. Well Hills 667 square feet, 18th floor, about 2 million, 3,000, close to about 3,001 per square feet. So you see average quantum-wise, they ranged around the 2 million up to even 2.8 million range for their 2 betas over here.
Yes, and when compared to the 2 beta launch of RiverGreen and Promenade Peak, you can see they are actually launching pretty low in terms of quantum. They're really playing quantum play at 1.7 to 1.8, okay, on average, or up 1.9. There actually some of them are launching below that of what the resale transacted in the area with a more efficient layout and to exit at I would say a higher price than those resale when it comes to selling later on. Yeah, so this is something that's very interesting and worth considering.
Okay, so next one look at is the 3 beta. 3 beta for Martin Modern 1012 square feet. You'll see about 2.9 million, 2,600 plus per square feet. Riviera 1173 square feet. Lower floor level 5 at 3.35 million, close to about 2,008 plus per square feet.
Yes.
Avenir 1141 square feet. Low floor level 3.7 million, 3,002 plus per square feet.
Yep.
And last one will be Well Hill, which is close comparison because their 3 beta is also very compact at 861 square feet. So
Yes.
level 9 at 2.64 million. So I think when we compare what we have at RiverGreen, a very small layout, we can actually see how Orwell Hill actually performed.
Yes, and if you take note, like this, all this layout include aircon ledge. Okay, so it reminds of, especially if you look at Orwell Hill, which is closer comparison, this is very similar to our 76 square feet unit.
But no storeroom.
But no storeroom. And one of the bedroom also can benefit a single size bed. Okay, the only good thing is they have a slightly bigger living area that is landscape.
Yeah. So I think when Orwell Hill as a resale, with less, also 99 years, with less, I would say, ideal characteristics because they don't have a storeroom and do they have windows? Okay, so they all have windows, right? So the only difference is that they do have a storeroom, but it's already transacting at 2.64 million. Meaning if you're able to enter, let's say, even starting at 2.25, average about 2.4, 2.5, I would say it's a very safe entry as compared to the resale.
Yes. All right. And when you look at the layout type comparative, even 872 square feet, okay, about 2.8 plus million, I would say it will be comparable to Orwell Hills, which some of them, if you look at the public group listing, they're all asking about 2.9 to 3 million range.
Yeah.
So there's something that they are planning to exit, so you are buying actually below what they will be asking at. Okay, along with Promenade Peak, similarly, they're actually launching something that is close to resale price or slightly cheaper to actually move the unit.
So looking at the floor beta wise for the resale side, again, very different product because their floor plates will be much bigger. Martin Modern at 1,700 square feet. Level 6, you look at the quantum to be about 4.85 million per square feet, is about 2,008. Avenir, 2,400 square feet size. 13th floor, 6.9 million, about 2,800 per square feet. Orwell Hill is 2,228 square feet, but do note that this is a penthouse unit. So per square feet wise, it's going to be slightly lower because there's going to be airspace. 36th floor is about 5.55 million. So looking at the quantum of what RiverGreen and Promenade Peak is, I think the developer at RiverGreen is really experimenting with quantum play in this area. The last time we saw this was Cascaden Reserve.
Yes.
But unfortunately for Cascaden Reserve, they didn't have as good as a layout because their kitchen was like completely open. So that was the problem why the units there didn't move also.
Correct. But one thing to note is this, I would say, taking a bet because in this area of River Valley, if you really stuff to buy and talk to people who staying there, they love big floor plates and they want a floor plate that they can, since they're paying that amount, why not have the biggest floor plate they have in the area? So this is really taking a bet. We're 980 square feet. To see whether the market can accept it, you are really targeting a specific group who people who cannot afford to go to the 4 plus million range or 4.5 and they have no choice but settle down for something cheaper and lower if they want to stay in River Valley area.
Yeah. But again, looking at the layout, I think it's pretty effective with all the bedrooms being able to fit a queen size bed, with all the kitchen as well as bathroom having window. So for someone that really wants to enter in this area but have a limited budget, this would be an ideal kind of stack and entry for them.
Yes. For Promenade Peak, the layout 141 square feet, it will be more comparable to the other resale that has been transacted in the area.
Yep.
And starting at 4.4 million, they're actually starting below all the resale transaction. Quantum, and they hope to move this unit because of that.
And they still have a private lease. So if you're talking about, of course, if you compare to RiverGreen, quantum is on the higher end. But if you were to compare Promenade Peak with the resale, I think it's still a very fair price.
So this will come to the end of this video. We hope that you've gotten a fresh perspective of the comparison between RiverGreen and Promenade Peak, especially with the price that came out fresh from the oven, and we have a greater understanding of this area. Okay. And instead of the usual way of doing the bois approach by way of avoid, today we'll do it a little differently because we have RiverGreen and Promenade Peak. So we will choose between the two, okay, for both of us. We haven't discussed about this. Okay, which project will you consider? Okay, so without much further ado, let's try this. 3, 2, 1. RiverGreen. Okay, so why RiverGreen?
I think firstly it's a quantum play, which I think is very interesting. And most importantly, their layouts are very effective. If they were to do this quantum, but they have like super weird layout, like open concept kitchen, maybe I'll be a bit hesitant.
Yes.
For Promenade Peak, if I were to compare, let's say the 3 betas wise, I didn't feel like their layout was very efficient. I didn't really like the very long walkway. I feel like when you pay for it, you don't get like extra spaces in the room or in the living dining. You're basically paying for something that, you're not going to be using it you're going to be using it every day because you're going to be walking up and down. But yeah, I just feel like it's not the most effective in terms of space. And of course, adding on is that, with the pricing being very similar, RiverGreen is right next to the MRT, which also brings about convenience because when people buy into this area, especially with the number of supply that's coming up, you want to make sure that when people consider the different developments, right, you have like an attractive attribute to it. And being right next to the MRT, I think it's something that people will look out for first if people are looking for connectivity.
Yes, in fact, very similar. For RiverGreen, besides quantum play, location being more ideal, and also the layout type, one thing that sets something for RiverGreen is also the pricing strategy. They did not, unlike Promenade Peak, which is like 63 story, Imagine they say starting from 2.7, likely every floor jump, you hit out 3.3, 3.4. There's a benchmark that's set in the area. RiverGreen, they will price it sensitively and they themselves start at a pretty decent starting price. I would say they didn't overprice the place, even though they could have, and that actually creates a safety buffer we can enter. But of course, there's a layout type that I prefer within RiverGreen that we can consider. Not all layout types I would say is ideal. And for us, we also have this thing called walkaway price. So doesn't mean you buy into the right project means every unit you consider you should go and snap and buy regardless, because if you will enter the wrong entry price unit area, if on a day for RiverGreen they launch and then they keep increasing price to a price that's a little too expensive to accept, we must learn how to walk away. Okay? So if you like find out more how we analyze all these things, do scan a QR code right below, consult our investment consultant, and we're more than happy to evaluate to how we select this walkaway price.
So with that, we've come to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you next time. This is Grace.
This is Christian.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.